Hello and welcome to Infamous, the audio podcast. This is Brandon, or Mutilus on Discord.
This is Parker, go by One Who Parks on Discord.
And this is Aaron, I go by Treffenwood on Discord.
Welcome back for another riveting episode of Infamous MCP. Quick announcement, we are officially splitting off our post-credit segment off of the MCP show, and so we'll have an MCP show that will be our normal about 1 hour of MCP content, and then we'll have our separate, what used to be called the pre-ramble or post-ramble after-credit segment is going to be split off as its own episode. It'll gain a little bit more structure, and it'll be known as the Infamous Podcast. So we will be releasing those in the future. We have a lot of news today, so we're going to jump right into it. Parker, you ready?
Oh, so much news.
Hey, news! Yes. News!
So much news.
All right. First off in the news is I'm just going to name it. This is called the Too Little Too Late patch.
I prefer to call it too much too late.
Yeah. 2 years too late?
Yeah.
4 years too late? I don't know how many years.
This is somebody saying, hey, I need to put out these candles.
Yeah.
And then 3.8 years later, somebody drops a dump truck full of water on your house. You're like, that's not really what I wanted, but I appreciate the thought.
Jeremy, God rest his soul, he doesn't come on the podcast anymore. He's not dead. He just doesn't come on this podcast anymore.
This is why Jeremy doesn't come on anymore. This kind of shit.
Yeah, but 100%. But he liked in the Discord. He said he really liked my comment where he said this is like if you let a dog shit in your house for 2 years and then finally like, oh, I'll let him outside. Just like yeah, I guess you could have, but he already ruined the fucking house. Anyway, it did happen that they changed through 4 different things, and so I think we can all agree the 4 things are good. Well, let's talk about each one just a little bit.
I mean, maybe individually.
But like I said, the big moral of the story is so late. Here we go. The first one is Thanos. So specifically, Thanos. Do you want to talk about each change, or can I just tell all of them? We'll do it as a big
all
one.
of them.
Let's talk about them individually, and then we'll have an overall at the end.
Okay. So Thanos got his ability to discount superpowers off of gems changed to only Black Order, so it's now part of the affiliation. The
leadership specifically.
Yeah.
Because although you couldn't play First of the Black Order unless Thanos isn't in your roster, correct? Or in your squad.
Say again?
Can you use Corvus leadership if Thanos is in the squad? You cannot, right?
Yeah, you can.
You can? I thought it said specifically he had to not be in the squad.
Oh, I'm pretty sure you can. Let me look.
Oh, internet, help us.
I'm checking as well. If your squad does not contain Thanos.
Oh, look at that.
Titan.
So yeah, Thanos. Yeah, Thanos is your leader if he's in the list. There you go. I didn't know that. That's some subject. I didn't realize.
Okay, so is there any reason it's not just so it doesn't? It's not a negative other than it's Black Order affiliate. So what you said is actually kind of correct. Mm-hmm. Is if it's basically a Black Order only bonus,
right?
Because there's no way to play a different leadership within Black Order
at the moment,
and at least currently. And so currently it doesn't matter. So
also they did change that it no longer changes on his backside, so it's the same affiliation leadership because it used to be different on his front side and backside.
Yep.
So now he just has 1, which is always an extra VP for kill that's non-grunt, and always the powers are now free for his leadership specifically. So
is it his powers or all powers? Just his, right?
Just his Infinity Gem powers. No.
Yeah, it's this character.
Yeah.
That would have been interesting if you could have had like Ebony Maw and all that. That could have been cool.
It also would be really interesting. We'll be getting ready to talk about the Reality Gem later. So if you put Reality Gem on Corvus, it would now work a little bit different. I think that would have been a cool. I don't know if that would have been that would have been a really interesting Black Order leadership. That would have been like a sideways buff. This one is just a straight nerf.
Yes, agreed. But, he still keeps the 1 VP part of the leadership. Okay, let's move on to the next change, I guess.
So the next one is huge. This is the one.
Still talking about Thanos, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Go ahead.
So
Thanos
this one is
Okay.
enormous. This is the one we've been talking about on this cast forever and ever and ever. So they must have went back to episode like 54 to find this one. For Cosmic Portal is now only allies. Bum, bum,
Parker, I just want to say maybe they just finally found our podcast and they went through every episode and took every nerf we ever suggested and just wrote them all down.
I like to think that.
Because that's what it feels like happened.
And they're just going retroactively. They're just going back through the backlog. I get it.
Yeah.
Surely he can do it on his front and back side now, though, right? If it's nerfed so much.
Don't call me Shirley.
Nope. It's only on his front side, so it's nerfed, and that's it. His
it's just longer range Space Stone now, which is still a very good ability, but obviously for an 8-point model, you would expect more.
It's not quite Space Stone because he can't move himself still. But
it's still another. Okay,
it's
so it's just
another.
Different Space Stone.
It's just different Space Stone. Yep.
Yeah.
Finally, he got added a new keyword that is currently he's the only model that contains this keyword.
Strong.
There's a new one called Peerless, and if you have the keyword Peerless, you cannot have another model in your roster
Squad.
has squad. Yes, so sorry.
Yes.
Not all 10, but on the board at
Yeah.
the same time with the keyword Peerless. So when we find another Peerless model, you can't play them at the same time. Which I think is just great for the game. The ability to just say, let's not let things lay on top of each other that would be absolutely brutal. It's a way for them to protect that. That's good.
Sure, it's basically just animosity, right? But it's a total pool of animosity instead of animosity specific model, which is a fine concept. I don't have anything against. But clearly, this means that they had something in mind. You wouldn't create this mechanic and then put it on a printable card if you didn't have a plan, right? They would just update that later, unless they're just designing for future options, and in which case I think that's kind of silly. Like if we've got 200 fucking models in the game or whatever it is at this point, like you can't. That's not that many. Like what's the point if you're not going to put it on any of them? Like I don't know. All right, what do we got next?
Aaron, what do you think about Thanos' changes? Is
he
now
also
just
had his throw trigger changed, right?
Well, that's right.
Yeah,
now
we're not
has.
done. I was waiting for the next one.
It's now a hit and a wild. I'm sorry, I forgot about that one. Yeah, hit and wild is now
instead of
just
it,
wild.
Parker.
Yeah, I'm way behind here.
Okay, hard hitting news. So
I thought they said in the article that Titan's Will was gone.
If you read an article, you should immediately forget it because what they write in an article means fuck all.
Yeah, that's definitely not untrue.
Okay. So my thoughts on Thanos. Like every 6+ threat model in the game deserves to be melted down into a fucking dumpster fire. Mm-hmm. So 2 fucking thumbs up. Mm-hmm. I still think he's viable as a 7-threat power Thanos splash almost anywhere. Mm-hmm. So, and that's interesting. I'm not sure he's broken at 7 threat as a power Thanos, but I'm sure it's fucking gonna try out.
I was actually thinking more down that path. What about 8 power Soul Power Stone, and just literally get the maximum possible power into your Thanos, and you just like Cosmic Blast every attack.
I mean, Desecree is still the best thing on his card, and that didn't change.
Right, that's correct.
So, yes, despite the fact that all this shit did change, that is very good for the game. Yay. I don't think he is the absolute, put him on your shelf and never think about him model. In a couple niche situations where you want to use Desecree with a bunch of low-cost killer models, or if you want him to go ham with, power and soul or something to that effect. Yeah, those are my thoughts.
I mean, isn't power reality and power soul and soul reality, like all those are still very viable. You just Space Stone will get a big hit is really all that's going to happen.
Because it costs 2, right?
Yeah, it costs 2, but nobody's using Time Stone anyway. It's like the worst one by far. Reality Stone is still free.
We're about to talk about that.
It does not. It's not free anymore.
We'll just go ahead and say
free anymore.
Reality now costs 1. We'll just talk about that.
Okay,
now.
I didn't know that. So
I wouldn't run Reality on Thanos.
I think it's still useful and good.
Sure, it's not unuseful.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like paying 1 power for that ability. How often did you even need to trigger it? You're like, oh, you got 2 hits on offense. I just won't spend the power.
Sure. Is it worth a threat. That's the key. That's the key.
Sure, it's still the best defense you could put on him. Now, if you don't need the defense, and you're probably playing him in Red Skull 3 anyway, then yeah, sure, you probably don't need Reality Stone, and you could easily get by with a cheaper version of the same kit.
Yeah, costing a threat on defense functionally being, spend for reduce 1, like only certain times, that is just fine, right? Like, it's not great.
For what? Spending 1 for Reality?
Yeah, Reality Stone. Well, I guess it's more than that because it does give you the chance to block 2 instead of just 1.
Correct. It's the extra skulls in the pool is a big deal.
I could still see somebody taking Reality if they were gonna, if you specifically you were going to put him somewhere where you're also going to give him cover somehow, or something. There are ways. There are still reasons to use Thanos with Reality to really make him very difficult to kill.
Well, I mean, the problem with Red Skull 3, or with anyone really, but specifically like the Zemo build, which was he was always taking with Zemo. Zemo was just too crazy at applying his damage. But if you're talking about that and you have Reality Stone, you're talking about like Reality Stone on top of his perfect DR, and then on top of that you're getting the strategic leadership bonus. And then like it's just so much. His average block is like 3, and when you have 8 hit points, that is almost insurmountable for most lists. It's like they just couldn't kill you without crazy luck, and so they didn't even try.
But now he has to spend power to do it, and so he's not gaining power if he's totally blocking. And so you do get a diminishing return, and then you don't get a death's decree when you want to. We've known forever that the one way to beat Thanos is just to power starve him, because he does a lot less when he's just attack for 8 points, right?
Yeah, and now that Space Stone costs 2, so if you're in like Space Reality, like which used to be popular, it's like, well, I'll just throw you away, and you'll spend all your fucking power trying to do anything.
And now also Cosmic Portal no longer controls opponents. Like all he can do to enemies now is attack. That's it.
I mean, Mind Stone's not nothing.
True, but it costs 2
without playing Black Order.
That costs 2. I thought Mind Stone cost 1. Did it cost 2?
No, it costs 2.
Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Like saying Reality Stone is expensive, it's not really. Like he will have enough power to use Reality Stone because there's so often he didn't need the bonus, but when you need it, you fucking need it, and so it's super worth, right?
I think Reality is still viable on him, but for all the reasons we talked about, he is so much less splashable and so much more reasonable for his threat cost.
Yep.
Okay. Did you guys read the article in which they talked about nerfing him?
No.
I did, but it's been a while.
Well, they talked about how they identified that the biggest problems with Thanos was with his board control, at which point I said 2019 called, and they want their problem back.
Exactly.
Like, how the fuck did you put that in an article in 2025?
Yeah,
That's an article in 2025 was, we think Thanos' board control is too strong.
Yeah.
I read the second article. I have some of the same comments. Yeah.
I'm actually offended by that. Like, you're telling me you just realized that?
Yeah.
He came out in 19, didn't he?
I don't remember.
I have to look. Thanos MCP.
No, it hasn't been. The game hasn't been going on.
Oh, it's in database, isn't it? Hold on.
I think it came out.
Thanos.
Let's say 21.
20 or 21.
21 seems late.
20 maybe.
It could be 21. I don't know where to look it up. Is it in Jarvis? It's not on database.
I don't know.
Parker, can you check Jarvis? I'll check Cerebro.
He was...
I know one of them has it.
CP25 was the box he found in. Doesn't say when. Yeah, it doesn't say on Asmodee either. Who knows?
I know that one of these groups was compiling the dates.
I mean, it's neither here nor there. They're late.
I think, yeah, I'm pretty sure it was 2020 or earlier, but it could have been 21. Regardless,
July
4 years.
July 10th, 2020.
Thank you. So it's 4.5 years, a little over 4.5 years. Like that, it's just stupid. Like, this feels so much more than what they needed to do as well. Like, Thanos went almost 4 years without a change. They changed the stones, they changed scenario packs, they changed the way affiliation, squad building, and team building works without ever changing him, even though he was the reason most of those changes happened. And then just to dumpster him in 2025 is like, what? Why? Like, maybe he's not dumpstered, like you said. Like, he's still got uses, but he's not the same model, right? Like, even in Black Order, he's not the same model. And so it's like, why do we keep seeing this, like, little baby changes up front and then just nuking it later. Like similar thing happened with Malekith.
Oh, I don't know. I feel like oftentimes they swing hard for the fences on some things, just knock things out of the park, never to be seen again. And then other things they, like you said, just inch forward for years, nursing it. I don't know. I wish I could know, but I can't.
I don't understand why their view of the meta is either late or skewed. It just seems really odd. Because CGR went unchecked for a decent amount of time, but compared to Malekith and Thanos, it was a blink compared to those two.
Right.
Malekith went for much longer the first time, and then was left unchecked for even longer after that. And then Thanos was effectively untouched for the longest time.
Well, if it's hard to predict AMG and their course for nerfing every model, it is really easy to predict our next model, which was just that awesome pattern of let's take a big model, make them incredibly oppressive in the early game, and oh no, I'm sorry, this was too oppressive in the early game. Let's bring him back, and that's Thor, Hero of Midgard. I am, Aaron. I'm always optimistic, incredibly optimistic. I love MCP, but honestly, I am getting to the point at which I'm beginning to believe you that. I don't believe that every 6th threat should leave in the game. I think there are lots of 6th threats that don't do crazy things on turn 1 and beyond, and you can have them in the game and it's fine, i.e. Magneto, She-Hulk. Like, there are models that just don't feel like that, but I am getting really tired of them printing first turn monsters and then waiting 4 to 6 months and then just taking all the first turn monster parts of them away. It's just so fucking weird.
It feels very bait and switchy, which feels bad.
Yeah. So I can tell you what, with Thor Hero of Midgard, I don't even fucking know what they changed. I didn't pay close attention.
Everything?
I know.
Yeah, his attack lost a range and an attack dice, which is nice. Nice.
Him throwing himself went from 3 to 4. I wonder why. And
is it just because people were playing him like Avengers or something?
No, I think it's because people were on
it was
first
just
turn.
The power economy of everything. His whole kit.
The idea is on first turn, because it was range 3, you could move him once, attack, because you're rolling 7 dice, you could just get the power.
Oh, and then get the power
to throw himself.
That makes sense.
And so he was deleting models on the midline on turn 1 functionally for free. And you didn't have to do anything special to do it. Just put him on the board. And that was fucking dumb. They also took out Brother-in-Arms completely, which is funny.
That was, oh my god, dude. The rage that went through some people. It's because at first people were arguing, like, I've never seen such a backlash about the restriction of a card in the history of the game. Like, there was such an immediate backlash on Brothers-in-Arms getting restricted, and then they just immediately banned it after that. It's like, what? Oh my god.
Yep.
Shout out to bait and switchers all over the place.
Yeah. So on face value, knowing nothing about the history of their history of doing this to the game, on face value, this is good. They took away a model's ability to completely remove agency again. But the fact that I have to keep saying that is really boring.
Well, maybe if the game was on such a flowchart that you had to move up and pick up an extract, or you lost the game immediately, that you could just choose to not pick up the extract directly opposite Thor Hero of Midgard. Maybe if that was the state of the game, this wouldn't have to get immediately nerfed.
There are lots of
things.
But
if you don't pick up red tokens, you lose the game. So
I'm not 100% with you on that one.
Sure,
but I don't know
you
that
should
Asgard
be
was
okay.
playing the Blitz scenario.
Sure, but it should be okay. Well, then why don't you just counterplay this? Why don't you just not give them the ability to do that?
You do. So the correct answer is you do not go to the center. But that has been the same, not just in Thor. You're playing against fucking Cable, who cat and mouse is up. Do you double walk and pick up the fucking extract across from him?
Right.
Probably not. Okay, because he's going to slide and double tap you with quad reroll. Like, it's just fucking stupid. So there's a lot of models that you cannot just walk to the middle and be like, oh, you killed me. This model's stupid. Well, not really.
But this model can't do anything else in the first turn if you don't give him the attack. Like, he just stands there. And so like Cable doesn't. Cable's going to shoot you at range 5 and is cheaper. So by that justification, we need to nerf Cable.
Well, that wasn't the point I was making.
I know, but like that's what I'm getting out of the point. Like if
Sure,
that's the state of the game,
I take
then
not umbrage. I think I disagree with why he was nerfed. It wasn't just the turn 1 midline attack, right?
Yeah.
I think the more important thing was the turn 2. Most of the time, I saw Thor double move on turn 1 to get in position for a with prio brothers in arms just delete models, right? And then you have, if you're taller than the opponent, which you normally were, you KO them top of 3, and you are set up so far on attrition when you just delete their 5 threat. Like you're just done. Like that sets you up for winning the game. Not I killed your 3 threat that picked up an extract across from me.
So I'm definitely willing to buy that line of play. I think there's a lot of validity into that argument. But at the same time, if you're investing 10 points of characters and priority and a tactics card to daze 2 models, that doesn't sound out of line of the game. Like that happens anyway.
Well, you're KOing one with no chance to clap back.
Well, but you're KOing them on the 3rd turn.
So that means you daze 2 on 2 and you KO one of them on 3 is the general play pattern. Yeah.
But that happens in games without those resources. It's not like that's an unheard of potential, and you're putting 10 points of models in a small space, spending a tactics card and priority. Like, and then what does Bill do after that? Basically nothing. He might get to double move throw on the 2nd turn after Brothers in Arms has been used. Like that doesn't seem overtly powerful compared to other things that just exist in the game to me. And so that's why, like, if you want to say Brothers in Arms needs to go, I'm not that against it. I don't actually care. I think Brothers in Arms is a silly card compared to other cards in the game. And it's fine that it got rotated in the banned. But, like, doing this to Hero of Midgard, just stop printing models then. Like, don't put abilities on models. I think Thor 2 is maybe a little bit pushed, but not overpowered. And so I just, if you can't make models like that, then don't make models like that. Like, I don't understand the point of releasing a model just to immediately nerf it.
I mean, he was also, throughout the game, so I ended up losing to... Mike, I think Mike was running. Yeah, he was running Thor over at Nebraska, and he just would pick up a 3 threat, either daze or KO him every turn. And my 3 threats could not fight through Thor's defenses, health pool, and Odin's blessing. Right? They just did not have the oomph when he was with prio, dazing or KOing, just mowing down my entire fucking list. Like I was winning the other flank, and then Thor just crumples wherever he was across from. I really think it was the whole package that was the problem, and so obviously they chose to eliminate the offensive side of what he was trying to do.
I guess I just don't see how.
I mean, like his ability to throw terrain or
he definitely kills 3 threats,
right?
Yeah,
just like, but with such reliability. Also, the whole pushing, splashing, like his entire kit was just putting out way too much damage. So reliably. I think at the end of the game, that was just it. It was the reliable amount of damage he's putting out on a turn-by-turn basis.
Yeah, I guess. I would have much rather just see them up his threat to 7, if that's, like, the problem. Like, if he needs to be in line with the 7, or even an 8 threat, like, just make him appropriately costed as opposed to taking away functionality of his kit, when I don't think that was really the problem. It's not like he did something that was not okay. He does stuff that half the other characters in the game do. He attacks stuff and he throws things. Like, that's it. Like,
yeah, he was a 6 threat Apex.
Yeah,
effectively.
6 threat Apex is fair, but I mean, he's not that much more survivable than Apex. Like, he's beefy for sure, but like he has no set defensive tech other than Odin's Blessing. Playing him at Odin's Blessing prevents more turn 1 shenanigans, so it makes it harder to do absurd things with him. But obviously, Odin's Blessing's amazing. But yeah, he's just 4 defensive stats, which is, I would say, subpar. Like, there's a lot of 3 threats that have similar defensive numbers. Not as good, obviously, but close. And then 9 hit points is a good amount of hit points. But, like, he's basically 2 3-pointers duct taped together for survivability.
Brendan, what I'm hearing you say, you've been saying it a lot for a couple of minutes, so I've just been listening, is you don't think you should have made this change, that he's not
I don't think this was a good change. I don't think it hurts the game by changing him.
Okay.
I'm just tired of seeing every attrition model get dumpstered and scenario models not get touched at all or buffed, which makes even less sense. And so, like, I don't know. I didn't see him as a problem model. And I really haven't been paying very much attention to outside KC meta, but like he was not doing anything in KC beyond like showing up to a couple games.
Yeah, Kansas City, he was
And
definitely
so
not
I've definitely been, not paying attention to outside. So maybe he was just havocing everyone, and I didn't experience that at all because I've kind of been playing less lately. But yeah, I don't like the concept of, like, if you asked me, if you told me to make a list of the top 20 models that need to be nerfed in the game, he wouldn't have made the list. And then to have him changed in such a harsh way seems silly to me.
I'm gonna be 2 thumbs up on this change. I think they may have gone too far. If I'm speaking from a pure balance standpoint, from a I hate all 6 threat standpoint, that's great.
No, I totally understand, but like I feel the opposite. Like I like expensive models.
Yeah.
I like to feel like my models get to do something other than hope they roll well. And I definitely see what you're saying. Like, he was more consistent than most models. Like, he's more consistent probably than Hulk for damage output, but he also doesn't have the same kit that Hulk has. Yeah.
There's one thing about this that I do not like, which is from a model like building standpoint, is his spender and his self throw are now the same cost. That's kind of bonkers to me. Like, now with the increase with the Havoc-Thie, I go, when am I doing Havoc-Thie? With actually, I guess only if I've already attacked twice, and so that's why I do Havoc-Thie.
Every fucking turn.
See, I think you should actually be using them only when you would use the other one, because they both say the, so they should cost the exact same amount because they both say the.
Maybe that's it. Well, I would have words with thee, let you move, like Havoc-Thie lets you move. It throws the character, which is not you, which is true, but it could do more damage to their list, potentially. It usually does, right? And it rolls 10 dice also, instead of just the throw damage. So I think I would have words with thee is generally better than Havoc-Thie, unless they're a little bit further than range 3, in which case Havoc-Thie is better.
Well, the real thing is, I think, is there a line of effect? Because I think medium plus medium is about the same as range 3. I think it's a little bit further, actually. And so I think that the only reason you wouldn't use Havoc-Thie is A, you really wanted to do damage to 2 targets, or B, you don't have a line of effect. Like if there's a car in between you or something.
Okay. I feel like I feel like throwing a character away medium and rolling 10 dice in it and placing for 4 power is just better than throwing yourself for 4 power. Unless you have 8 power and you can do them both, why would you ever do Havoc-Thie again? And that's the weird design space, I think, for that. But
I mean, it's not an attack action, right?
True. Like I said, if you didn't want to spend your action doing that, it's not bad. It's never bad to have the option, right? It's obviously better to have the option.
I think,
but it's just kind of strange that by making it 4 power, the spender is now, I think, the obvious choice most of the time.
Yeah, I think if you're thinking of like, well, I'm going to get 2, I'm going to double move, I'm going to get 2 more, I'm going to do a builder, and if I get 4 damage on the builder, then I'm doing both, which is great, but obviously not going to happen all the time.
And that's why I kind of agree with Aaron. I think the part that actually is worse is, and maybe Aaron, do you agree? It's losing a dice off the builder.
Nope.
Because it's worse to have Havoc-Thie cost 1 more.
No. By far the worst thing, the most impactful change is range 2 on his attack. Yeah. Absolutely.
They cut his attack range by over double.
Yeah, range 2. Yeah. Range 2 plus 1 less dice is a big
I think a medium plus range 2 versus a medium plus range 3 is like 40% of the volume. Like, it's such a huge difference. Not to mention the first turn possibilities, because he can no longer like move and swing. Like, that's such a huge change.
Yeah, enormous.
Yeah. Yep. No, yeah, that's absolutely neutering. I think that if they'd done the cost 4 and the 6 dice, I don't even think I'd be upset about the change. I think, yeah, it's probably fine. The range 2 is massive.
It is. Okay, so we already talked a little bit about Reality Stone. The last one we're going to talk about has nothing to do with 6 cost characters, so I don't know if Aaron's going to like this or not.
But it affects characters that could cost 6 points or more.
Nope. It doesn't affect any characters that cost 6 points or more.
Who are we talking about?
The Hellfire Club change. So
that can affect 6 cost.
None of the members of Hellfire Club in the affiliations are 6 cost or more. That's why I wonder.
That's my point, though. They used to be.
Right. They could be before, right?
Yeah.
So, Aaron, I know you are, on this cast at least, the Hellfire Club player. You have played him a whole lot. Played him against me a lot. I really enjoyed losing to you all those times because you are so interactive. That's the part I like the most, is that every time I played against your Hellfire Club, I really felt like I got to engage with you. So now that Hellfire Club must take a bunch of mutants, or at least 3 mutants. Is Hellfire what happened to Hellfire Club, and what do you think about it? I'm curious, Aaron.
This is the change I think I'm most conflicted over.
Really?
And this is because, so I'm going to give you props, Brandon. When Hellfire Club first came out, I think we had a lot of various takes, and you were by far the most negative. You were just like, I don't understand what the fuck they're doing. They're printing a leadership that says you can take any model in the game. What the flying fuck? And the rest of us were like, oh, but it's on
this
Emma,
leadership sucks.
and she's bad, and your opponent can play around it. Like, we're doing a bunch of quibbling. You were absolutely correct.
I refuse to take credit for that. I appreciate it, but
Okay.
I don't think I was the only one that had that opinion. And my only argument was it's bad for future proofing, right? It's like, if a list comes out that's so broken together, having a staple on leadership that is at all useful is a bad idea. And so, like,
well, you were the vocal one on this cast. That was that was a very early adopter of the, I don't know why they did this. This is fucking stupid.
Mhm.
And this is the point of the article where I read, there was like, they said, you know what? It turns out having synergistic models and a good leadership's not very okay. And I was like,
especially
really?
when the leadership is synergistic
Really?
to the models you take. Yeah.
No, wait. And you're just now realizing this? Like, tell me you're bad at your job as a game dev without telling me you're bad at your job as a game dev.
Mm-hmm.
Man,
that's where I lost it in the article and I stopped reading.
Yeah.
Now my anger issues aside, I am a proponent of anything that was over the top being nerfed in the game. So for that matter, yes, 2 thumbs up. But by them saying this leadership could not exist with good models, therefore we're going to put a bunch of dumpster fire models together, call them Hellfire, without respect to canon or lore, and fucking ship it. Parker,
So
how accurate is that statement?
Very.
Very.
The Hellfire Club is one of those, like, it's one of those things that, okay, I think Angel and Archangel were Hellfire Club members.
We got one.
And a Sunspot. I think he was a Hellfire Club member. And the others are like.
To be fair, it's more comic book accurate now than it used to be.
They're at least a bunch of mutants, but
yeah, they're at least mutants.
I'm with you there. Like, a lot of these people, were they ever in any issues of X-Men or X-Force or X-Factor or any of the X's? Were they ever affiliated with the Hellfire Club? Like, worked for them? Like, Omega Red may have been hired or something, or Mystique could have been hired. Mr. Sinister could have posed as a Hellfire Club member for a while to take advantage of their resources. Maybe that happened ever once, but you're right. They did just go through all of the unused, like, uncommon.
The scraps.
Yeah, all the ones, except for maybe Mystique. They went through all of them, and
Emma's here for the scraps.
And just put them all in a big pile of poop.
She's going to feast like a mantis.
So again, I'm very happy that old Hellfire doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, so you are happy about it. You sounded conflicted at first.
I think this is the worst possible way they could have gone about accomplishing that goal. Like, I would have rather they just banned Hellfire Club card. This affiliation no longer exists. I would have been happier than putting dumpster fire models together and calling it a new affiliation.
No, because you can still play it. You just have to make concessions, right? You can just take a couple affiliated models and then get the models that you used to play. Let's say you just take your current roster of 6 models, swap 2 of them for Hell Club members. You're good. You can play Hellfire Club still. The leadership still works. And so if you enjoy that mechanic, you have a way to play that mechanic. As opposed to my leadership, which they effectively banned from the game. And I don't get to experience anymore. This is 100% better than that. They're
creating so many different affiliations and leaderships all the fucking time. Wait 6 months, put Emma's leadership on a new model, and just, get rid of Hellfire Club. Like, maybe I'm wrong. I would have rather they have done something like that.
But just from a functional, like, outside looking in perspective, isn't that just objectively worse? Because this way you can do it, the other way you can't. It's just the number 2 with more options. Like, you don't have to if you don't want to. They're not forcing you to play Hellfire Club.
Your
but you at least have the
choice.
Okay. Well, I wish I had the option to play Malekith still, but I don't. Like, he's just worthless and I lose the game automatically.
That doesn't make any sense.
It
That's
is.
that you could feel the same way about Hellfire Club following that logic. That if a model is so bad you can't use their leadership, then
No, I'm saying
that could be the
having
same
it.
thing is true about this.
If they had.
Go ahead.
Sorry, go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I said Emma Frost is already like we agree. Emma Frost is probably not a fantastic character. She's just probably average-ish. And then, do they put a lot of other characters that, with the exception of maybe Psylocke, stop like Mystique, maybe, but like every other character is right now considered behind the curve, right? You don't see them in rosters, so. And they are available in the game. People don't play them because they're considered behind every other character. So they just put them all in one affiliation and said, they literally they put an anchor on the bottom of one of the better leaderships that used to be really overpowered because you could take anything. They just put a 3-model anchor on it. Emma Frost plus 2 other bad models, unless it's maybe Psylocke Mystique. But yeah, I mean, like you said, you're right. You can still play Hellfire Club if you're excited to play exactly Hellfire Club. But it's now, and this is the one. I'll say this brings me right into the only thing I wanted to say, which is, it was really fucking weird that so many things in Marvel Crisis Protocol are all about the lore and making you feel like you're playing the affiliation. And for some reason, Emma Frost said anybody can be a member of my Hellfire Club. That was just fucking weird. It just didn't make a lot of sense with Marvel in general. And so this at least makes a little more sense because there's a bunch of mutants and Hellfire Club was a mutant club. So this makes a little more sense. But
I agree with that. When it comes to the getting to play leadership and not getting to play leadership, I totally concede that, like, obviously it's worse. It had to be worse. That was the whole point of the change, right? Mm-hmm. So by forcing you to take models that are considered either, less strong or less meta or less synergistic with the models you were already playing, it's going to take a hit to the list, but that was the whole point. The thing they didn't do, though, is make Emma 30% less effective and then say you have to play her as the leader. That's the difference I'm pointing out.
Okay.
And so if you said, okay, here's Emma, but you have to use Toad's stat line, and then we're going to leave her the same, and you're like, but she's still 4 points, and you're like, yeah, but she's not anywhere near we're close to 4 points anymore. You're like, well, that's just an albatross that is completely ruining my list. You're like, yeah, so it doesn't work anymore. At least, like, if all you have to do is swap Lizard for Psylocke, or not, that's a bad example. You have to cut Shang-Chi for Psylocke. That's not the end of the world. It's maybe a worse change for your list, but, like, depending on what you're doing with it, it's a bigger impact, obviously. Like, if you're, like, trying to play Kaiju, well, then it doesn't work at all.
Sure.
That's all I was saying. Like, they could have made it completely unplayable. I do like that they at least put mutants with it, but it would have been nice if it made more sense. I think the problem they had for that choice is the models that would make sense don't exist yet. Like, there is no Shaw, there is no anybody else for Hellfire Club.
Right.
And it would have been nice if they prioritized releasing them in the last 4 or 5 years, but they haven't. Instead, we have Viper and Sin and other stupid models nobody cares about. Mm-hmm. The thing that I have put the most thought in on this errata has probably been this card, because I was shocked to see that this was the only card that got changed. And then the more I thought about it, I think that's why the 2 new leaderships that are flexible came out when they did and are so objectively bad in comparison. Because everyone was like, well, Hellfire Club's still the best all-encompassing leadership, right? Because we've got Dormammu, we've got Hellfire, we've got Slaves of Darkness, and not Slaves of Darkness, sorry. Thralls of Dracula and the Mephisto one. I can't remember the name of it.
Legion of the Lost.
Legion of the Damned. Yeah, whatever. And so those are all way worse than Emma's leadership. And so I think they decided that Emma was just too far ahead of the curve. And so instead of destroying the leadership, they just restricted it. Oh, wait, is it still restricted?
No, it is no longer restricted.
Okay.
They did change
there
that.
You go. Okay. That would have been okay.
They also made a change to reality beside the 1 cost.
Which is you have to pick the die now, right?
Yeah, you forgive my lack of direct reading it, but my understanding is you change it once and that's it. It allows you to count as a crit once and then you're done. You don't get to keep changing it 18 times as you roll dice.
Yeah. Which again was, I think, a forum ruling that made no sense, that never should have been made.
Yeah. It does say choose 1 skull result to treat as a crit result for the remainder of that attack or collision.
Yeah. Which, according to the other rulings in the past, if you force them to reroll it, they just lose the effect.
Did they already change that it's only attack, defense, or dodge dice?
No, that's new. It used to work on interactions. It no longer does.
Yeah, it no longer does.
Which would be less relevant because you would probably not have the power to use it as often. But yeah, it is, because it gives you the extra power. It is relevant. Mm-hmm. There used to be a weird interaction where you could interact with multiple points. But yeah, I don't think that matters anymore.
I did want to mention this one more thing with Reality Gem nerf. I've always wondered if you could play Corvus Glaive without a gem and just see if the wife package could work and he could still kill things for only 7 points. And so I might try that. I might just see.
In my experience, it is less about the losing the skull crit and more about the power generation for him.
Right.
Because if you can just get the Glaive's edge rolling, then you're fine. But if you only generate one power turn, it's harder.
You can use the time stone? ?
Yeah, that'll fix it. Obviously not.
But you could still use reality, right? But now you have to spend power to get the extra effect. But you could just use it as +1 power until you needed it.
Yeah, no, reality stone's still very good on him. It's just the question of if 5 threat is better than 4 threat. And much like Black Swan, it's close, but I think the higher point total is always better.
Mm-hmm. So, Aaron, I have a question now.
Yes.
Are you planning on playing Hellfire Club now?
God, no. Are you fucking kidding me?
Cool.
Okay, so how about this? Let's go through one at a time. Let's start with Reality Stone, and thumbs up, thumbs down the individual changes.
Okay, cool. Reality Stone first?
Yes.
Okay.
Good
Individual
for the
changes,
game, bad for the game.
Just like for the whole card, because multiple things have been changed on most things. Okay. I'd say Reality Gem. Is neutral an option?
No. Let's say no. Have to pick one.
For Reality Gem, I'm going to start by saying good, I think.
I'm also going to say good.
Yay, 3 goods.
3 thumbs up for the Reality Stone. I think we all agree that Skull should fail. We have learned that over the course of the time playing the game. Skull should fail.
It should just cost you something, right? That's
Yeah. Having a costing a +1 threat and costing a power every time you do it, I think it's fine.
And taking it away,
because there's also a situation of you ran out of power. Now your thing turns off and I can kill you. Like, you have to make that choice.
Also, there's another thing, which is just you have. I really like that they changed it to no interactions or anything. It's less weird. We want to do Hellfire Club next?
Sure.
I'm going to say this is from a purely I love lore and it didn't make any sense before. Thumbs up.
Okay, but for game balance.
Oh, for game balance. Still a thumbs up.
Agreed. I'm also
thumbs up. I'm also thumbs up.
Yeah, this needed to change. That was bad for the game. Okay.
If we continue to go in reverse order, it'd be Thor next.
All right, Thor. Good or bad change for the game?
I'm going to go with, thumbs up. Yeah.
I'm going to say thumbs down.
You needed to have played more into him because it's a thumbs up.
I played into him. Not a huge amount, but I know. I've probably played a half dozen games against Thor 2, and I, at several points, thought he was strong. I never thought he was overpowered. And that was when Brothers in Arms was legal. Like, I always says, like, yeah, that's 10 points worth of models. That should be scary. There's plenty of other board I can go to if I don't want to fight them. All right.
The last one is Thanos. I'm going to say great big 2 years old thumbs up. Sorry, when do we say 2020? 5 years old thumbs up. That's what I'm going to say.
It was mid 2020, so it was
only 4.5. Give him some credit.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whatever the size of a 4.5-year-old human's thumb is, that much thumbs up.
I'm with you.
Hold on, I want to.
Oh no! It's not a 4-year-old thumb. It's a thumb with a fingernail that hasn't been cut for 4 years.
Yeah.
And I'm about to cut it. That
Parker, it's ye old 56 months late.
Yeah. So I want a 56-month fingernail growing out all grotesque and like curling around and shit, like difficult to manage. And they're finally like, you know what? I probably should take this off. This is kind of in the way.
And everybody around's like, yes.
Yeah. That's the thumb I'm putting up is that thumb.
That's the name of the podcast, by the way.
Yeah. Speaking of, is there anything weirder to you than when you see like random people out in the wild with Coke nails? It's so weird, right?
You're gonna have to explain to some naive motherfucker.
You don't know what coke nails are? It's when they've got one fingernail way longer than the other ones. So
They
it's
use it
like
to scoop
it's
up
usually
coke.
their pinky nail,
Yeah.
and it's like a 1/2 inch to 3/4 inch long. The rest of their nails are cut. It's just that one sticks out, and so you can scoop cocaine with it and snort it. And it is used that was the trend in like the 70s, the 80s. But like I see people with them. I'm like, you are way too poor to afford cocaine. I know that. Like, there's no way that you do cocaine. Cut your fucking nails. It's gross. Anyway,
thumbs up or down on this one, Thanos?
I want to say thumbs down. I do think Thanos needed a change. I don't think this was a good change. I think this was a bad change for him.
Good change for the game, not him.
I don't think it's a good change for the game, though. Like, I think it's
okay. That's a
hold on.
That's an opinion.
So I just want to make sure I'm getting my point across correctly. I think the game is probably in a better state with him being in this state, but I think that this kind of change is bad for the game.
Okay,
like if you're gonna let him go for this long just to do this crazy amount of nerfing, like I don't understand it, and that's what I'm against.
Okay,
it's CGR, right? They went way too far. It's like you could have cut that nerf in half and it would have been fine. And then there's still like repercussion changes from CGR coming out months after the nerf actually happened. It's like, oh, these 3 cards got restricted and banned. It's like, oh, those cards were all played with CGR conveniently, and they're just gone and restricted now. Like I think that's bad because I think it hurts the community more than it hurts the game. If that makes sense. I don't think the nerf hurts the game. I think it hurts the community, which is bad for the game.
Okay.
It's the same reason I'm down on the Thor change. I think both the Tactics card change or the card changes were good. I think they were well thought out, at least well attempted. And then the other 2 changes were way too much.
And what do you think about Thanos change? What do you like?
Oh, thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, we already talked about how these changes aren't how I would have done them, or they're 56 months too late, blah, blah, blah. We've shit on AMG enough. But at the end of the day, I think every single change that was mentioned here makes the game better individually and as a whole.
Yeah. I think the game is better today than it was on Monday or whenever this came
out. Yes, it is true that one thing I will say, like you said, regardless of how much we've shit on it, as soon as I thought all of this, after I digested it for a bit, my next thought was, I will have a better time in the next tournament because I will not have to consider if Hellfire Cub shows up, because that was a consideration when I was list building. I won't have to worry about my opponent putting a Thanos on their board and me automatically going, well, I guess I have to hard pivot for a Thanos in case they drop it. Like, all of those things are things I have to worry about less. That's just good for every tournament I can think of doing MCP ever again. So let's pivot to the next big thing, next big news. A brand new set of additional missions were added to the game, most of which are now officially missions for the Challenger level. Let's talk about the new set of missions. Clearly we're not going to go through each one of these, right? Because we already did some.
Do you want to go through all this today? Because we're going to go way over time if we do.
Oh, shit, yeah. I should not. Yeah, you're right.
So let's just briefly touch on it, and we'll flesh it out next week once we've all had time to actually examine each of these, because I know the mission thing was fairly recent.
Okay. Do you want just like an overall mouthfeel right now, or just...
Sure. How about, are there any missions that you noticed that were really intriguing to you that we hadn't seen before?
Oh.
Or actually, let's focus more on the list. How about that? Aaron, you said that you had seen that these new 10 missions were designed to be played together in pairs?
Yes, that was part of the article.
Did you put any thought or research into that at all, or is that just something you gleaned? Okay.
That was their justification for why one of the new missions is not legal in the Challenger document.
Mm-hmm.
So I assume that's just for some thematic purposes for the most part. Like, it's telling the story of the War of Kings. And other than that one specific interaction, there wasn't anything game related to glean out of it.
All right. Well, how about this then? I'm just going to go down the list of specifically the new missions, because obviously we're very familiar with the old ones. And I'll just give a brief overview of them and ask you guys what you think about them. So the first one we have is Deadline to Destruction, which is similar to a D deployment, but it's a little bit more scrunched into the middle. You score 1 victory point for each one you control, but the consoles have an interact that you choose an enemy character at range 3 that's holding an extract token, and then they either drop their token or suffer a damage and gain a power.
I really...
So you basically,
go ahead.
You point at somebody and you're like, you get cubed right now, or you drop it.
I really like this one a lot. This might be my favorite new one, because it is an interesting deployment. I'm really excited to try this deployment. I don't know how much I'll like it because I need to try it, but I'm really excited about it so far. I specifically like all the ones that allow you to. Sorry, what's the best way to put it? Where where D or E, where one of the secures is near your deployment zone. I like those. So I just like that this is one more of those.
Yeah, just so you know that this one won't be the contestable one like before, but yes.
The contestable.
This is range 5 up.
Right? Oh no, it's the same. They're in the same place as the D's near your deployment.
Yeah.
It's just the side ones are closer in.
Yes. Well, I'm talking about specifically the one that's closest to your deployment zone. I just like those. I like them all where there's one that's close.
Having a defensive objective.
Yeah. I've always preferred playing on those. I just like them. And I do like that the other ones are closer in now, so you can get to each one and transition between the 4.
Removed from the game by contesting them.
Right. And
I like it as well.
Yeah. So I also think I'm really interested to see the distance between them. So can like a range 5 character on the inside of one point reach to the other with a weapon? That would be cool. And I also like all of the I'm personally playing a lot of lists right now that do a lot of chip damage. Like chip damage is their thing. So this lets any affiliation like what I'm doing with Elsa New Midnight Suns or older lists that love trap and chip damage. I like this one a lot.
Okay, next one up, we have Guardians of the Shi'ar Empress in Style. Guardian saved Shi'ar Empress in Style. So this is a Bravo deployment. It's very similar to Mutant Madman. It is a pay to flip.
It's close to Bravo, but not quite.
Is it not? I thought it was. I checked it. It's 5 and 2 by 4 and 2.
Well, it's listed as M on MCPDB, which tells me it's got to be different.
Maybe it's
somehow.
Slightly different. I'm just misremembering them because I haven't measured them in a while.
Sure.
Anyway, it's similar to a Bravo.
Yep.
There's 4 tokens. They're pay to flip. You roll 3 dice, and over healthy contests, you become controlling. The cool thing is that if your character's holding extract, you can re-roll one of your dice for pay to flip, which is pretty cool.
I think the thing that makes this a little bit different than B is they are closer together horizontally.
That's what he's saying, but I thought that was not true, but I could be wrong. Maybe I'm remembering it's the F distance in, and that's why it looks familiar. But regardless, you guys like this one where if you have an extract, you get to reroll?
I'm going to say yes. I think it is going to encourage people to get in the thick of it with their extract holders. Like, do I try to overflip you? If I do, I get effectively an extra die. Right?
It encourages you to charge the enemy objective with an objective, which is weird.
Yeah, right?
So the problem I have with it is that it's going to heavily encourage X-Men on this map, which is fine that it advantages one list. I want to see it a couple times first. The fact that you can walk up, pick up an extract, walk to this, and then go to the pay to flip and have a reroll on it makes you incredibly consistent. Or if people move up and overflip you and you're holding an objective, it's easier for you to flip them back. And so like I just want to see it a few times, but I'm very intrigued by the mechanic. I'm excited to try it.
Okay.
I do like that it's only roll 3. I like that it's always 3.
Yeah. There's a lot of lists that could kind of abuse overflipping, and that takes that right out.
Sorry, Aaron. You said X-Men.
I think the term 1 X-Men jank, if you will, is a little overblown.
It is way less than it used to be, for sure.
Sure, and like you said, they get an extra die, or they get an extra reroll. Like, in how many games is that actually going to be relevant? 5%?
I lost a game against X-Men because I failed to flip an uncontested objective on my side on the first turn. It just threw the entire game out of whack.
Okay, maybe I'm underestimating how good it is, but
the only reason it's concerning to me is because this is technically a win more. Because the person with objectives is benefited, just like Sword Base. It's like if it was benefiting the person without objectives, I'd actually feel better. If you don't have an extract, you get a bonus to overflip. I'd actually like that more, but the fact that it's interacted with at all, I like.
Okay. I like the idea that which I think you said this exactly, which is you are incentivized to take your model that's already scoring a point and go towards enemy models. That's cool.
That's what it's in function in logical. That's what it means. But I don't think anyone's going to do that for exactly the point that you're bringing up. It was like where you're attempting to encourage a behavior, but instead you're discouraging the behavior with your rules, and so it's never going to happen. But we'll see, right? That's the whole thing. It's like this is all theory so far. All right, next one up, we have an extract. This is the first extract. This is a new deployment, I believe. It's 4 extracts on the center line, kind of like Paranoia used to be, but they're further apart from the center in pairs. And so they're very close to the edges. You can only have one of each extract at a time. It gives you an attack. You cannot roll or add dice or mod dice. It's a beam 3 6 dice energy attack. 1 point each.
Tell people which one it is?
Oh, sorry. Inhumans deploy advanced weaponry. I forgot to say the title. It doesn't matter. Made up names. All right. What do you guys think about this one? This is basically instead of Montesi. I think this is much better.
Montesi is gone, right?
I think it is. It might be. Irrelevant.
I don't think
We're talking about this right now. I'm noticing also there's a lot more even-numbered extracts nowadays. I think they learned that odd-numbered extracts were too abusable. If you got prio, it was so hard to get the advantage back.
In the current legal set, Montesi is not available. So this is
Montesi is legal.
Where? Oh, you're right. Sorry, it's the Montesi.
Yeah,
I was looking for Montesi.
Montesi.
It's the Montesi.
Yeah. Anyway, what do you guys think about this mission?
1.74 thumbs up.
Yeah,
I like it in theory. Need to play it, but yeah.
I like it that it's kind of spread out. I think it will encourage refuse flank missions, which will discourage, nuclear arms races, where you'll kind of actually have positioning games, but we'll see.
I like anything that's even extracts and midline, so you don't get to just hide all the time.
Yeah.
I also like that they're both together, so it'll kind of encourage like 2 fights, which is interesting. Yeah.
All right. Next up, we have another secure. Imcran Crystal gets Heroes Home. It's 4 secures in what looks like a G, so it's very scrunched together in the middle square. Interactive, no enemies are contesting it. You now control it, so much like Sword Base, it's just an auto flip, and if they are contested, you roll 1 die, and you need a damage. During the power phase, each character holding 1 or more extract tokens that is contesting one of the blues gets a power. So it's Infinity Formula if you have an extract. This is going to be a spicy mission because there's going to be lots of fighting on this tight little square in the middle when also all the extracts are there. But again, I think this is a lot like what we were saying on the other mission, where just because it is incentivizing you to go there doesn't mean you actually will in practice. But yeah. I do like that they're doing something. And again, though, it's advantaging the player with the tokens. If instead it was the opposite, where it's like you take a damage if you're not here, then you're more forcing them in as opposed to encouraging them to come in.
I mean, I like the fact that it encourage you to bring your extract holders to the center of the table.
Yeah.
This is
again, I just don't know that they will.
Sure, for 1 power,
yeah.
No, thank you. On the other hand, this is a very attrition focused mission in my view, right? It's sword base at 19 threat with no push.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
Extra power even. Like if you pull an F on this and you're like, oh, there's 5 extracts, like this is gonna be a bloodbath. And what if it's cubes? Cubes in this would be insane. Everyone's getting 2 extra power and taking a damage.
Yeah, bring it.
I cannot wait.
I'm going to do that without taking a damage because I'm exclusively playing Red Skull 2 with this shit because he gets the overflip and his leadership just gives you extra power.
Well, then you're getting 3 power and taking a damage. That's even better.
You could do it.
Okay, next up we have scientific samples found in Discovered Universe. This is an extract. It is 4. It looks like a standard D deployment.
Yep.
So diamond. You can only have 1 sample at a time. Once per turn, while this character is holding a sample, rolls dice. Oh yeah, it gives you scientific hubris for skulls. And then additionally, in the cleanup phase, if you have an extract token and you're within 2, everyone with an extract token is within range 2 of 1 or more secure tokens, you get an extra victory point. So it's kind of like Paranoia, but instead of being by each other, you have to be by the blues. And again, this one benefits the person in the lead, so it's a reoccurring theme. I guess that's actually not true. It benefits both equally it's actually harder to get the bonus if you have more tokens. This was the one that concerned me the most when we first got spoilers, because the Web Warriors list is very good about knocking one person off a secure, and so if they just do that, then you don't get the bonus, but they do. And so that's rough. But there's only 4 tokens, so this will be interesting. I think that one is the one I'm the most concerned about.
This one just feels like paranoia again to me.
It is paranoia, but it's a D, which is even better for scenario teams. Because you just use ASM to get the one on the side, back up, and then you have infinite bunker on your back point, and you just put everyone there. It's like, what are they going to do? Anyway, next up is Terrigen Canisters Fuel Doomsday Device. This is the F for Foxtrot on Red Secures. You can only have 1 canister. That seems to be consistent on all the missions. When a character picks up the canister, roll dice equal to your physical defense. If it does not contain a critical or a wild, you gain poison. And while holding one, your speed is short, which is not the same as slow, but similar. Because you can actually still advance long if you have an ability that says to advance long. I don't hate this one. Having an extra 5 scoring mission is always concerning to me, but I think this, because it makes you short, is probably fine.
Yeah. Also, if you don't roll a crit or wild off your physical defense, you're immediately poisoned.
Rough.
So you start turn 2 with 0 power because you picked one up on turn 1, and now you have 0. Like I actually really, really like. This is one of the very first 5 drops that I go, wow. I don't know which Web Warrior player is excited to have this one because their speed becomes short and they might get poisoned on turn 1. That seems really obnoxious for them. Maybe somebody will tell me, "Oh no, it's still 5. I love it." Well, cool,
but don't forget that happens to your opponent too. That's what a lot of people forget about with Spider Infectors. Like, oh, I'll just move them away. It's like, but you're holding all the points because you're the scenario team, and so all your models walk towards them, and you're like, oh no.
Yeah. This is. I actually really. My first thing that I thought of with this is. I might bring Shadowlands Daredevil back out with this one.
Yeah.
It sounds awesome.
Because they can't run away.
Yeah, more points, more better. They can't run away, and they might be poisoned, so they can't do much shit to me while I'm killing them. That sounds fun. So I like this one because it sounds like a trap for scenario teams. But I'm excited to see.
Don't disagree a lot. I think this is going to be really important on which teams you have. Some individual characters are going to love this. Because Valkyrie, for example, can move up, pick up a point, get poisoned, and still be able to charge next turn. Mm-hmm. That's huge, right? And so it's really going to matter. But then, just like you said, if say you have Zemo can't pick this up. He becomes speed short, so his charge is short, and he might get poisoned and have 0 power next turn and get 1 shot. That's so crippling. And so it actually matters which characters you're playing. I like this mission a lot. It's also the only one that doesn't encourage the person in the lead to keep winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, this is by far my favorite mission. I'm sorry, my favorite extract that's been revealed.
Mm-hmm.
Aaron, you said nothing. Do you like it or not?
I do.
Cool.
Okay, next up. Unexpected Guest Crash Royal Wedding. This is a 4 extract mission. It looks vaguely similar to a Bravo. Can only have 1 at a time. During the power phase, starting with the player with priority, each player rolls if you are not within range 2 of a secure, and you are holding one of the tokens. The opposing player may choose a secure objective. The character is pushed toward the chosen objective short. The opposing player controls this push. Interesting. Why would you have to... Oh, that way they can't push you away, into the corner. Got you. Okay. I like this mission. It's anti-runaway, right?
Yes.
Yeah, I like this. It's also a Bravo, so it's very easy to get your own tokens or punish them for taking them from you.
A funny thing that could happen with this, if you have one of the guests and you're standing on one of the new secures that gives you bonuses for having the guest in your hand, if you pick that secure, you get pushed off of the secure, right? Because you're probably too close to it, so you get pushed.
No, you can only push somebody who's not within 2 of a thing, right?
Oh, sorry, not within 2.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. So it doesn't work on everybody with extract.
No, it only hits you if you're not on a secure, which would be, kind of running away. But if you're just happen to be playing, let's say a centerline mission, if you walk up and pick this up and immediately get pushed forward, it's ugh, that's not great. But
no, I take it back. So you're rewarded for not running away. Good.
You are correct, though, because if let's say you're playing one of the missions that gives you a bonus for being on it, right? And then one of the players resolves like, because it matters who's in priority and all that, but you can resolve the crisis in different orders. So if you resolve the extract mission first, it could push you onto the secure, which would then trigger the secure mission ability. And so it is relevant. It's just, it'd be a weird combination of abilities because you'd have to not be on a secure to start. That's probably my favorite of the extracts. We'll see.
This is a close second.
Poison Slow is my favorite.
Yeah, that's true. Well, I think this one is better because the Poison Slow is going to hit you too. Like, that's going to actually be absolutely crippling in some situations where you're like, I have Zemo or Valkyrie, or name a random model, right? And it's like, Namor, perfect example. It's like, oh, I'm just going to charge with Namor, and then all of a sudden you get poisoned and your speed short, and you're like, guess I'm never charging with Namor again. And so
those are all decisions in your control.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so it's going to affect lists very differently.
Sure.
And so that's the only reason I'm worried about it.
The tokens are more than just a victory point for that mission. Like, there is impact on list building, there's impact on
just like hammers,
how you deploy, where you deploy. Well, more so than hammers. Like, for me, hammers are whatever.
More than hammers, yes. More than hammers, but similar.
Like, my pet peeve for the past 4 years has been like, oh, this character really likes hammers. Like, oh, really? Point the one fucking character that doesn't like hammers. Anyway, I'll stop yelling.
Characters don't like hammers.
Everyone. Yeah.
No, I do. When people are like, oh, I'll get extra attack dice. Like, yeah, no shit. Like, okay. Wedding party targeted in terrible attack. 2 secure objectives. This is the second 2 secure objective mission. This is the first new one. It's 20 points, which is hell yeah so far. They're 9 inches from the edge of the table, so that's a whole new deployment. During the cleanup phase, each of the VPs attempts to flee, starting with the player with priority. Each player places all VIP secured tokens by the opponent within 2 of their current locations.
So same as
VIP,
Fisk.
Is it just the same?
Yep.
But the second ability is not.
Then each character within 2 of a VP loses a power instead of being stunned and damage. Interesting. So this is just friendly Fisk? They're further apart?
What do you mean friendly Fisk?
Oh, you don't take damage.
Sure, you lose power, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It's still not good for you.
I would rather not take damage without power and be stunned.
I mean, yes, it is.
Seems way better.
It is nicer Fisk. Okay, I'll give you that.
Unlike Fisk, where Fisk
Hmm.
was a real rope-a-dope situation where you could let your opponents take it just so you could ruin their day.
Yeah.
This one doesn't
you can't
feel
really
like
punish
that.
them.
Yeah, this one doesn't feel like that. This one feels like you need to fight for it.
And it's 20 points. Man, this is going to be an interesting mission because it's kind of like damned if you do, damned if you don't, because it's 4 points off of 2, but it's much easier to... This is going to be the Kaiju mission.
Really?
It's 20 points, and it's easy to defend 2 points. Any worst case scenario, you defend one of them. It's like, I'm just going to put all of my angry boys right here, and I'm going to drag your objective towards me, and I'm going to kill you when it gets to me.
But they could drive.
They push
they just move
the opposite.
They can just move.
Yeah, but you just let it go. It's like you got to get past me to go get that 2
Yeah,
points,
yeah.
and yours is coming to me. And so you just build a wall, and you're like, come at me.
I have the biggest question marks about this mission.
Yeah, this one is the one I see being abused the most of all the missions so far. But it's fine because they'll just nerf every kaiju into the ground when they become a prevalent. So
Wow, fucking hell yeah! Sign me up.
there you go.
Yep.
All right, next up we have ship security breached in Royal Rescue. 20-point extract. 4 tokens in the, I think it's J, the Scrolls mission, the Scroll deployment. It's the 2 offset from the center and then 2.
Is this the one that's
flanks.
not in the Challenger dock? Ship
Yeah, this
security?
one is not.
Oh,
Available.
okay.
Okay.
So we'll cover this very briefly. You pick up key cards while you're holding one, and you get attacked. Oh no, when you interact with the objective, you get it refunded. Yeah. Cool. Next.
Yeah.
And last one, strike team secures shield relay. 17 points secure. It looks like a D for diamond. Interact roll. Dice equal to your physical defense. If your roll contains more damage than healthy enemies, you control it.
Wait.
So
Is Strike Team also not on the list?
It is not.
is it?
Okay, so there's
It's
2.
not.
They're not
Yeah.
on the list.
Oh.
There's only 4 new ones each.
So all also not on the list.
Mhm.
Characters within 2 of the generators may control reroll one of their defense dice. Yeah, I wonder why that didn't make the list. Fuck you.
All the pairing things I actually do like the idea that they're pairing some of these for like
There's themed missions.
themed. For specifically, I love the wedding themed ones.
Yeah, both the wedding missions seem fun.
Because specifically, that's part of one of the main events that happens in the War of Kings is that the Inhuman Kree royal wedding is interrupted by the Shi'ar, and I think it's just really fun. Just like I'm going to play that scenario exactly like that moment with my MCP characters. I like that because you're not doing one of those super crises where you're really completely changing the game format and state. It's the regular game just with a little bit of actual comic spice in it. I think that's cool.
Yeah, cool. All right, well, that's going to wrap it up for us today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the news. We've had a lot of news lately. This is exciting. Next week, we will cover the breakdown of how we feel about the mission packet as a whole and the intricacies of like what is now legal or will be legal moving forward. Anyway, this has been Brandon.
And Parker.
And Aaron.
And you've just listened to 56 Months Late and $1 Short.
So what are we going to call this thing?
I got it. Okay. Incredible, new, fantastic, astonishing, mighty, original, uncanny, sensational podcast.
I'm just going to put down infamous.